Welcome to Grit Beyond Measure.
I was down bad, but I never tapped out. Pain in my chest, had to muscle it out. Scars on my back, yeah, they came with the route. Turned every loss to a win at the reroute. Heart full of hustle, my post got a tempo. Pressure on pressure, I cracked, but I bent though. Diamonds from dirt, they ain't hand me the credentials. Built from the flow, now I'm thinking exponential. They try to doubt it, I double my focus. Locked in my vision, my grind stay in motion. Walk through the fire, composure unbroken.
All right, hey, welcome back to Grit Beyond Measure. I'm your host, Frank J. Today, I got an interview that is real, is deep. And the person that I'm interviewing is what I would consider a friend of mine that I've met while we were serving together on a tour on the USS Nitsa, Romero Monzon. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to introduce him. I'm going to let him introduce himself. So before we dive in, Romero, over to you.
Yeah, hey, thank you for having me on the podcast. I
No
really
doubt, man.
appreciate that. So my name is Ramiro Monzon. I work in IT. Me and Frank served together on the USS Nitsa. He was a wonderful leader. He got me through a lot, and I really appreciate our time together and
Amen.
the friendship we built. On the surface, everybody sees me as a guy who's always, cracking jokes, smiling, trying to uplift the room and, be a positive energy to everybody. But deep down inside, no one really knows the childhood trauma, the struggles, anything like that. So I guess that's part of the side that people don't really see. They don't see that struggle or anything like that. They kind of just see the happy Romero.
Pretty much, for you, everybody see the go happy guy, the go happy Romero.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got a lot of things inside of you that, that burdens you. It weighs you down within the heart, within the conscience and stuff like that.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So introduction, got it. Let's just roll into the interview, man, because I think that's kind of where the interview meets at,
Yeah.
Let's take a moment, to talk about where life kind of hit you at hard at, and, what actually happened during this particular, hardship or adversity piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then who did you realize you were in that moment? Whatever you're going to throw at me right now, what happened? But in that moment of it happening, what defined you per se?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so life hit me the hardest when I was in the Navy. I had a really bad night, out drinking with friends, making the wrong decisions, and drank a little too much and ended up in a DUI accident. What came from that accident was one of my close buddies ended up losing a limb. That was very hard, and it basically threw my life at a 180. I felt like I was progressing in life, doing my Navy career. I had goals, ambitions, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
it kind of just threw me off course. And it was probably like the worst moment in my life. Just trying to pick myself up from that and build myself back up to the.
So everything was going right. You wound up having a DUI incident. I remember very well.
Yeah.
But like I said, my perspective and experience with that scenario is different from yours.
Mhm.
And this is why I'm glad we're here to actually talk about it, because it's like the first time we're actually talking about it.
Yeah.
You were dealing with your own constraints of what was going on at the time, while another service member had, lost their limb in that same process. For me on the outside, I was the guy getting all the phone calls, trying to go to the hospital to visit you guys and figure out what was going on, along with the triad, just trying to figure out what is this going to look like in the end, and a lot of stuff was out of our control, which was, we'll talk about that at another point, but that was kind of like the scenario of what we do and how we do it. So in that same scenario, what DUI, another service member, your friend lost a limb. one point you didn't even know what was going on. The other point you kind of woke up in the hospital, and then the next thing you know, you're incarcerated.
That night, all I remember was uh, blacking out. The last thing I remember was being on the couch, and he offered me a drink, and next thing I know, I'm in the hospital. It's the very next day. I still thought it was the same
Wow.
day beforehand.
Yeah.
Um, and I woke up, and there was two cops, and they were telling me like, your friend's okay, his leg's okay, and I was very confused. I was like, what is going on? Like, I still thought it was Friday night or Saturday night, whatever night it was. But it turns out it was like almost noon the next day. Um, and then once I got released from the hospital, my IT1 had picked me up, or I'm sorry, my chief, my ITC, and he was very disappointed, and I was still kind of confused, like what's going on. But once I realized what happened and how heavy that was, my heart sank, and I didn't even know about his leg up until I went on. I think we were in the yards at the time, so
Right. Yeah.
once I went on the boat, and MA1 took me to his office to do the normal screenings and everything like that. ET2 Stanley at the time, he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, like what happened with so and so?" And I was like, "No, what happened?" And they told me what happened to his limb, and I broke down.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it, and in that moment, I was just in straight regret, and it
Right.
sucks because I don't remember anything. So
Right.
if I don't know if that was due to the alcohol, maybe a concussion due to the accident. I don't know why I don't remember anything.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that pain really sucks. It really does.
So let me ask you this, right? So during that time, what was harder, the situation itself, or what was going on inside your head?
Yeah. So in that moment, it was the situation itself. And then once everything settled in, it became just me eating myself away every single day. I felt like a zombie. Like I remember,
Mm.
I lost, or my security clearance was it was still there, but it was like under
Right.
investigation, so I couldn't
Right.
really go into secured spaces anymore. So I ended up working with the CSs, and I remember just you know working with them and cleaning the tables, and I just felt like I was so out of it. Um, like I wasn't present in the moment. Like I
Right.
was so both, but first it was the incident, and then second it was just myself, just beating myself up every day.
Did you feel like you let yourself down, or did you feel like just, like you let the command down? Like how did you feel in that aspect of it?
It was everything. I felt like I let my family down, first of all, because they didn't raise a kid to be put through a situation like this, and I felt like I failed as a child, because no
Right.
one wants to see their kid potentially go to prison or whatever,
Right.
or do any bad things.
Right.
Everyone wants to see their
Absolutely.
kid excel in life. It was that, and then on top of that, I feel like I failed my my commands. My ITC, I know he felt like I was gonna be something big. When I
We
first
all
got
did.
to that command, I was a
Yeah.
go-getter. I was
Yeah.
always trying to
Yeah.
one up and be ahead of
Hmm.
the game, and I even wanted to be a pilot in the Navy. So I was even
Yeah.
looking into the STA 21, and
Yep.
trying to get my degree, and
Right.
I kind of ruined all that. And I know I made my chief look bad. I made my whole department look bad, because at the end of the day it falls on them. Um, and then I know on top of that I made our ship look bad, because everyone in the Navy knows, hey, there's a
Right.
kid that did this horrible
Well, let
thing.
me tell you, man. I just want to tell you, and I can't go back in the past and change that. I know these are the things that you were feeling inside,
Mhm.
and a lot of times as leaders, and we get upset with our junior personnel because we see the potential. We know what you can be in this organization based off of what we've seen.
Yeah.
And you're one of those guys that okay, he's going far, man. If he's not, he's going to go officer, he's going to go warrant, he'll make chief. Like you had all these, we had all these great visions for you and stuff like that, but you did not let the command down in the aspect that it should crush your soul. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Are you
yeah.
going to have tough learned lessons in life? Yeah, you are. We're going to eat at them. We're going to build you back up. We're going to put you back out there. I think the main issue that we had, especially from the eyes of the captain, because they ate at him a lot too,
Yeah, yeah.
is that, once you got incarcerated, that kind of fell out of our hands and it went to a
Yeah,
whole different
yeah.
path. Isaac had it. We had no control of that destiny. And the one piece I want to kind of talk about that you didn't really talk about here was that, through the whole process, the DUI, the hospital, being incarcerated, and clearance kind of on the cliff. You don't know if you get your clearance back because you had skiff level clearance.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you were incarcerated so long that put the projectile of pushing you out the Navy.
Yep, yep.
And that was probably, to me, the stinger, because I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting, I wasn't seeing that piece of it.
You were definitely a great help as well. I know you were trying your hardest to keep me in, so I do appreciate everything you did for me at that time.
Absolutely.
Um, and then that was a big shock for me as well because when I was going through the whole court and everything, the judge told me that I wouldn't have to, go incarcerated or go to jail or anything like that. He said I would be able to do a at-home ankle monitor, and he
Yep.
actually granted that at my sentencing.
Yep.
And then I already had an ankle monitor on just to detect if I was drinking or anything like that.
Right.
Which I
Right.
wasn't because, I'm not that type of person. It was just a
Right.
bad night. Um, and then I ended up going to the jail to get it removed. And then the sheriffs at the jail were like, yeah, I know the judge said this, but we're going to do this because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if I get into something, I'm sorry, if I get into a accident again or do something dumb, then it falls on the sheriffs and then they look bad.
Yeah.
So, they
Yeah.
had to do what they had to do.
That was the stinging point that stuck us, because exactly what you said was what we were expecting. And it was like, okay, we got some options on our end that we can do to save the sailor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when that happened, obviously things go back to JAG, the legal, to ISIC,
Yeah.
and we were told to stand down at that point. ISIC was going to take over and see some of the things through. And that's what kind of led to that. So anyway, in a nutshell, that's what happened. And that's going to lead into my next question is, this is a huge experience for you, man. This is a huge experience for me, but more so for you.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to steal your thunder, right?
No, you're good.
How did this experience change the way that you move today? How does it change your mindset, the way you decide, your decisions, how you make these decisions now, and your standards? Like, what are your standards from this experience? Like, how did it change those aspects?
Yeah, so I definitely hold myself to a way higher standard. I remember before the incident, I used to like goof around a lot with my buddies and, not take things too serious, even though I was still like always trying to be great and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I was always kind of hanging out with the wrong crowd, not intentionally, just kind of like being open to everybody and, not really
Gotcha.
trying to block anybody off. But now it's like I pick and choose who I want to be around because I know that's going to
Absolutely.
influence my life.
Absolutely.
Um, and if I get that sense like this person isn't good for me or they don't have the same mindset that I have now, and they're not trying to improve in life or,
Right.
you
Look at you,
know,
man. This is
yeah,
good, man. I
so
love it.
yeah, like my mindset has definitely changed. So
So to your point, you're in a mindset now where, hey, I'm gonna pick and choose my friends based on a few different things. First of
yeah,
all, if they're not trying to level up or level me up or we're leveling each other up, then they don't need to be in my circle. And
exactly.
then as far as like decisions and stuff like that, I'm assuming that you're making decisions based off of what's going to make it beneficial to you to advance and be better in life, vice going the opposite way.
Exactly. That is,
Okay, that's good, man. Let's keep this rolling, man. So here's my next question, man. When things got heavy, right? Because this was a heavy situation for you, man.
yeah,
And quitting, like giving up, was on the table, because you could have gave up in so many different instances.
yeah,
You could have gave up in a hospital. You could have gave up when you was jail. You could have in jail. You could have gave up when the Navy said, "Hey, we can no longer keep you." You could have gave up just in life in general. What kept you going, man?
So yeah, I wanted to give up, like you said, all those times. It's a lot, and sometimes, even though I'm where I'm at now, I still kind of think about giving up sometimes. But I know the end goal is going to be far greater than all this stuff past
Yeah.
behind me. So, um, what really kept me motivated early on was just anger. I know that sounds a little weird, but when my situation first happened, my girlfriend at the time, she was very upset with me, and she was upset because I wasn't being the man that I could have been. I wasn't
Hmm.
providing for my family. I just
Right.
had a son, so I wasn't able to provide then. So I know it sounds horrible. I don't mean to talk bad about her or anything like that. But it was just
Oh,
that
just don't say her
anger.
name, man.
Yeah, yeah. But it was just that anger of her thinking I was less than I really was.
Mm,
But it was my fault. It wasn't her fault. So it all falls back on me. And then it was the anger of me not being who I wanted to be. It was the
right.
anger of me feeling like I wasn't there for my son. Just everything. The anger of me ruining my career in the Navy. The anger of me, not being able to get jobs because of the felony.
Yeah.
Um, it was really rough when I first got out. I was
Absolutely.
applying for everything, and I felt like they all went great, and then they just let me know like, hey, we're gonna seek other options. So it really stung. It really did sting
Yeah.
for
It seems like everything you just said was accountability, man.
yeah, yeah,
What kept you from quitting was the accountability piece, man. Like you said, hey, all this is it comes from me.
yeah,
I did
yeah,
this. I made this decision, and as we would say, man, this is second and third order effects
yeah,
that are happening because sometimes we don't know what they are until it actually happens, right?
yeah.
You made a decision, caused another service member, your friend, to lose a limb and put you guys in the hospital. A lot of different inquiries, put you in a mental state, incarcerated,
Mm-hmm.
clearance on the edge, losing your job. Some people disappointed. Commands looking at it from a different perspective. We're putting in overtime trying to figure out if we can
Yep.
help you out and stuff like that. And it's all accountability, man. And the one thing I can say, maybe not initially, right? Because a lot of times we don't, but you took your ownership of the action that you did. Without it, you wouldn't be here right now in front of me, man.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
When I said, Ramiro, hey, I gotta have you on the show, you was like, yo, let's go, let's put it on. And then the funny thing is, I shot you the questionnaire, and you was like, hold up, man, I don't know. This is serious, man. I need some time to think about it. And it took a few weeks. It took a few weeks for you just to really get into it and to be open. Because like I said, you got to be vulnerable about this stuff. And
Yeah.
this is a big shareable event, man.
Yep.
People go through some of the things you go through, and um, they don't want to share that. They're embarrassed. Their ego's on the line. They put their pride out there. They don't want to talk about it. Oh, it's behind me now on the call today. And
Yeah.
so I say all that just to go into this next question. You know, someone listening right now that might be at their lowest moment in a same or similar situation, what do they need to hear? Not like necessarily a pretty version, but a real version. Like, what can you tell them?
Just from my experience, um, at least I feel like everybody's gonna go through something in their life, and it's gonna put you at your lowest point. And it's gonna make you feel worthless and like you can't do anything, and you're gonna want to give up. And I like to believe that God puts us through things to make us stronger.
Amen.
And our story doesn't end at the worst point in our lives. It just begins. So I felt like I got a second life once that incident happened. Um, I didn't feel like that when it initially happened, you
Absolutely
know,
not. Yeah.
but today I definitely feel like this is my second life. And when I was in the Navy, I'd be called Monzon. And before that,
Monzino. I was like, Monzino.
yeah, and before that, my family called me Isaac because that's my middle name.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad had my first name, so I just naturally went as Isaac. Just no
Yeah.
confusion. But after this whole incident, after I got out of incarceration, I felt like it was a new beginning. So I started having everyone call me Ramiro. So
Hey, man. That's good, man. That's good, man. All right. I got through the wild card question. It's kind of related to, was there a moment when you were ready to just walk away from everything, right? And it's not quitting, just like, hey, I'm done.
yeah, it does kind of relate to the other question, but yeah, it was almost like every day. During the incident, after the incident, I've always thought about just quitting, walking away from. I know it sounds horrible, but your
Yeah.
mentality isn't there. So when my situation happened, I was like, would it just be better for me to walk away from my girlfriend at the time and my son? But that was just a horrible thought. I'm glad I didn't pursue that.
Right.
Um, but every day just feeling like I was never gonna
Yeah.
make it to where I'm at now, and I still have some growing to do too. I'm not where I need to
Absolutely.
be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every day, we try to get better, man. And this is a tough and a deep story to share. Um, like I said, I appreciate you coming on to my show.
Mhm.
I appreciate you being open about this particular, scenario because I didn't know what you was going through. I just know you said, "Hey,
Yeah.
man, I need a little time with this one."
Yeah.
Um, so it takes a lot of courage, a lot of guts, bravery, to come on the show and be open about something like this. Because, like I said, it was very deep. And the funny thing is, you gave just enough for people to understand.
Yeah.
Because there's still a lot of detail in there that was
Yeah.
left
Yeah.
out, which
Yeah.
is good, right? You turned around, you look real good, you look better than you did before for sure. You got a little meat on you now. You know what I mean? You slim beans then, man. And I watched how you move over the time, man. And I was definitely going to keep you, at my side, man. I felt like, I made a real good connection with you. You made a real
Yeah.
good connection with me. And you were just one of those bright dudes, man. I knew was going to have a bright future. And the funny thing is, you still have a bright future. You're still doing it. You back on the grind. And you're just using that leverage as motivation and energy to keep you going. I watch you, be a great father when you post things on Facebook. I'm like, hey, look at this dude. Man, I didn't even know you had a kid. Like, look at this guy. That's his twin. So I look at those different things, man, because you made all this possible.
Yeah.
Yes, that one decision changed everything, but that one decision changed everything for the better at the end
Yeah.
because everything in that one moment was temporary, man. And that's where a lot of people get stuck at. They get stuck in that temporary at the lowest point. They want to either end life, don't want to deal with it, want to walk away, or just, not want to deal with stuff. And it's not fair to you as from a holistic perspective to do that, man.
Yeah.
This is going to pass by. And it
Thank you.
did. Now look at you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
So,
glad I stuck it
yeah.
through.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on the show. Is there like a handle, anything you got that people can reach out to you if need be? If not, we can always give it back at a later date.
Yeah, so I guess if anybody needs to reach out to me, I have Facebook. It's just my first and last name, Ramiro Monzon. And then my handle for everything, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever people want to use, it's just going to be my last name. So Monzon, the man.
There it is, man.
Yeah.
Monzon the man. Well, look, Romero, hey, I appreciate you coming on to the show. And like I said, you're gonna be back on. We're gonna figure some things out. And you give me a lot of different perspectives to look at, especially just, coming from my generation and stuff like that, and just kind of looking at your generation and that gap. You helped me fill that void.
Yeah.
So once again, I appreciate you. Thank you being on, Grit Beyond Measure. And I'm looking forward to doing some more work with you, man.
Forward to it too, and thank you for having me on.
No doubt, man.
Yeah. I was down bad, but I never tapped out. Pain in my chest, had to muscle it out. Scars on my back, yeah, they came with the route. Turned every loss to a win at the reroute. Heart full of hustle, my post got a tempo. Pressure on pressure, I cracked, but I bent though. Diamonds from dirt, they ain't hand me the credentials. Built from the flow, now I'm thinking exponential. They try to doubt it, I double my focus. Locked in my vision, my grind stay in motion. Walk through the fire, composure unbroken. I ain't surviving no more, I'm chosen. Look at me now, yeah, look how I rose. Look at me now, every cut, every blow. Look at me now, still here still hold from the dark to the light. Yeah, I earned this glow.